We're playing games. We doing the jig. On top of that, we're supporting local. You know, we're supporting local.
It actually says local.
Exactly.
But hey, welcome back everybody. OpinionOutlaws Season 4, Episode 4? 5?
No. Four.
Yeah. You know, because the reason why we are like hazy a little bit is middle of the night. We had a rough weekend behind us. But
Long week, man.
But game is game.
Game is game. We still keep on grinding and
We still have to
put in
keep
the
on
work.
going. Thank you for everybody watching. We launched the Spotify. You saw that as well.
Oh yeah, my guy upgraded. He
I
decided
was
to
not playing no games, and everybody. And the reason was that every time I mentioned that, hey, we have a podcast, is it on Spotify? And then I had to be honest, like, no, it's not. Every time everybody had always that.
okay, I might.
You get what I'm saying? Like, immediately, and I understand Spotify is easy. That you just put it on, and then you can do everything else, and it's
kind of like playing in the background.
Yeah, playing in the background. And usually a podcast for many people is like that. When they are like cleaning or walking or training, if they're not listening to their music, they're listening to the podcast, which is very normal and
understandable, because
understandable.
unless I'm like actively on the computer, for example, or actively watching YouTube, I wouldn't necessarily want to like. Correction, what I mean. I would prefer to have it in an audio format, you know, because very rarely people are like standing still for a moment to watch something.
Exactly. And if we wanted to make it like content that would be more for like watching, we could do that. But at this particular time, we don't.
So it is what it is.
It is what it is. So that's the first announcement that we make. Thank you for everybody supporting us. Even if this is a little support, it's still a support.
Yeah, hey, that's too, my nigga. We're still on it.
We're still on it. The thing is that we will keep doing this. Actually, one of our good friend that we have, hit me up yesterday.
Oh.
I had.
If y'all didn't understand what that means, usually when this guy ends the sentence in between, it can mean a lot of things. And usually, a lot of things don't mean anything positive in that sense.
No.
Or it could mean something positive, but that usually tend to be something very freakish behind it.
No.
We're just saying, you know.
Yesterday I had a birthday. And this friend calls me and congratulates me on the birthday and says, "How does it feel?" And then he asked me about our podcast. What's up with that? How is it going? And he congratulated us on the thing that we put it on Spotify. He was like, that was a big, good move.
Money move.
I was like, yeah, well, if it...
You gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah. And then I got from a certain lady. When I posted that we have it on Spotify, she said that finally. It is a very interesting topic that you're talking about. I'm very interested about it, but I don't have any friends who are interested as well, so...
Alright.
You get what I'm saying? Step
by step, we're moving, you know. Hey, small move is still a move forward. That's how it is.
So these are the things that has been happening, and of course, we will still continue doing it throughout. So to support us, like, comment, subscribe. You know where those.
My guy keeping them active immediately. You know what to do.
You know what to do.
You know the button somewhere along the line.
And then more importantly, go check also the Spotify. You can find it with our name. It has the same name as in YouTube. You can find it in there, or in Instagram as well. You can find the link straight to it. And I would say that's basically a summarization for the intro.
And always, if y'all have more extra free time, rather than having brain rot moments, you can always check our previous videos, previous episodes. We will give a lot of context to certain topics that we talk about right now, and also the changes that we have made, and overall, so you get the idea about our channel and what we be up to and how we got into this situation. So yeah, that's for like example newcomers.
Yeah, because this is an interesting thing because sometimes I have asked myself, well, what about if somebody just starts in the middle of our podcast, like no context or whatever? Could they start to listen to our podcast like for a long period of time, or is it more that if they listen to it, it is because of that certain particular topic is interesting for them?
I mean, at least based on my personal experience, how I usually end up is that thing that I don't start from the beginning of their episode to get to know that channel. At least, unless it's some channel that I already was with when it was growing up or gaining its like momentum. But it usually goes that way, that you find something that intrigues your interest very much, and you take it for a moment, and then you realize that okay, whatever they're doing right now is actually interesting, and then you start giving it a chance to the older videos that they have, and you're like, okay, this ain't even bad, and then you be on you stay active with whatever they upload or publish. So that's usually how it goes. Like it doesn't start like somebody like, oh yeah, I found this channel, let me start with episode 1, episode 2, episode 3. No, it rarely goes like that. Unless we're talking about some anime series or some stuff like that, like actual series.
Listen to this man. He knows what he talk about.
Hey, you gotta talk certain things from your experience as well. That's what this channel is all about. Opinions and also involving some type of experience into the whatever we're speaking about.
Yes, sir. So my segue actually to the subject.
Always with the segues.
Look how it goes.
Money move.
Do you think podcast is therapeutic?
I would say always, to some extent, but it also depends fully on the individual as well, because let's say it's a person who likes to talk a lot, but have other things in their mind as well. You could say that they're releasing their thoughts, but that could be also just their persona, that they talk a lot, but that doesn't really handle anything in their mind. But if we're speaking about regular Joe, let's say hypothetically, this is not to bash anybody, but regular Joe, as an average person, having a podcast, I would say would be therapeutic to an extent, as long as they do not feel that it is a job, and they get some type of fulfillment out of it. For example, expressing their self, expressing their minds, or whatever idea they have in their head. As long as those certain criteria are fulfilled, I would say it is therapeutic. But other than that, it's kind of iffy. In that sense. But
what about the people who listen to it?
Well, it kind of goes the same way with the people who listen to the podcast, because some might take it in a way of listening our voice as a therapeutic way of
Thank you, by the way.
I appreciate it. Whoever likes our voice, I could be more sexier, I could be more deeper.
Calm down, relax.
Hey, come on, man. I got.
First of all, relax.
Let me throw my chances in between too. But
what do you mean chances? A big, black, beautiful man.
I appreciate it.
Shaq.
Hey, you gotta do what you got. But segue back to the topic. Listening somebody speak as well, not necessarily even. Hearing somebody speak can be therapeutic to a lot of people. For example, why a lot of people like to put something in the background while they do something else. They might not be fully focused on whatever is being said, but they just want something to be running in the background for them to have that sense of peace and, I would say, social environment in a sense. So, and also then there's the one individual that kind of get something out of the topic in a way that fulfills them as well. So it is therapeutic, and to some it might not fully be therapeutic, but it kind of leans towards it a little bit. That's my opinion. But how about you? How do you see it in a is the podcast in itself therapeutic? Could you call it a therapy when you do a podcast? Not necessarily like overall, but for example, in your own experience.
My own experience is not. It is more, for me, this is more of creating something. And it is more like, I don't like to write. I hate writing.
Okay.
But sometimes I have done my thesis, so
You had to, you know.
I had to do it, and I'm pretty good at it. It's just I don't like it. But this one, I can open my mouth. I can elaborate my thoughts in a very particular way, where a certain thing that I want to tell somebody will go to their head or will go to their heart. So this is not therapeutic for me, but actually the guy who was with us, it was therapeutic for him.
Okay.
And this is not actually me saying it. We have podcast episode, I don't remember which one, but I do remember that we talked about this. And for him, it was part of it therapeutic, because as you know, he likes to have a conversation and have an interaction, a communication. However, also this preparation part, actually coming up here in front of camera to talk, it took so much out of the actual communication and how he communicates. And of course, the language, English, it's none of our native tongue. So therefore, to express there truly with certain words, it's very difficult for us because we use different expressions, especially in my language, for example. I can use my language in a ways you could not imagine.
By the order of the seas and winds.
You could not imagine, my brother. If you could ever hear me talk in my language and understand it,
Rizza. That's what we call him nowadays. He's a Rizza.
you might be surprised.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can see it from your Tinder conversation as well. Oh, wait, what?
Who said that?
Who said that? Pause.
Who said
that's
that?
what we call him, Rizza nowadays, man.
I was not doing that. I don't know what he's talking about.
Hey. Okay, but that's the same thing that I mentioned, because I was thinking about him as well when I said about that it can be therapeutic, but you know, when it feels like it's more of a job, then it kind of like shifts
There you go.
the whole dynamic of.
And he has admitted that this was more of a therapeutic. It was therapeutic for him that he could do this thing. But like you said, it came to him like a burden to a point. But then listen to it, I would say yes. It is therapeutic because of the fact that for me, if I listen a podcast, the reason why I'm listening to it is because there is a certain subject that I want to know about. And for that subject, there is a expert, a professional, an experienced guy or a girl who knows about that stuff that I am interested in. For example, psychology. For me, it's a very interesting topic. Not the basis of it, but the human psychology of interacting with one another.
Oh, I wonder why. I wonder why.
Not like that, bro.
Hey,
Calm
we
down.
just-
calm
I'm
yourself
just-
down.
I'm just saying, man.
Calm
Sinatra
down.
did that.
First of all, relax.
Hey, we know Sinatra did the same thing, man. He
Nah.
was just trying to
Relax.
communicate, and that thing ended up in jail for the same communication that just
Do you want to tell the story of why you're pointing there and saying Sinatra?
I guess-
Have you guys heard this story about Sinatra getting arrested and the
reason behind
it?
Unbelievable.
But do you know the story?
Tell him. Quick recap of it.
I have not the original, but the copy of Frank Sinatra arrest report. And the arrest cause was seduction.
I wonder why.
Now, I don't know many people who have been arrested because they have seduced someone. We're talking about sexual seduction, because seduction, if we translated it, it means leading astray. But it was from a sexual standpoint. And what the whole basis it was that there was a very powerful man who had a daughter, and that daughter presumably was a virgin.
Not after that night.
Sinatra went and did his thing.
Game was strong.
When she got confronted, when she had to go marry, because as you know, at those times, a woman who wasn't married at 20 years old, she was an old lady to be married. She got married. We find out that she is not a virgin. The guy who got married to complains to the father of the girl. The father, powerful human being, goes and finds out who did it. Frank Sinatra is a suspicion. They arrest him on the basis of what?
Unfortunately.
How can you arrest somebody that they just did what humans do?
Game was strong, bro. Game was way too strong.
They had to pick something up. He was not criminal. He was not inebriated. He didn't do anything wrong, like from a law
Nothing
standpoint.
illegal.
But they had to pick something up, so they put seduction in there.
Right.
And you can check this story. If you don't believe me, you can check this story. The internet, there's a bunch of parts and articles and research they have done about this stuff. So,
but now I know where G-Eazy get his hairstyle as well. Hey, that's a Rizzle right there.
he was not playing. But that's why he's pointing over there.
Communication.
But it is a thing that I'm very interested in. Not because of that. I don't know what he's talking about.
Oh.
But for example, there was a podcast where ex-CIA agent came to a podcast, and the podcast host was asking him about the interaction between human beings. What are the signs that you're looking for in a human being when they are interacting? How do they communicate? How have you seen this? Of course, some of the things the CIA agent don't, or ex-CIA agent at that point.
They don't bring it out that much.
Or they don't talk about the stuff, or if
for a reason.
If they get asked something that is very confidential, they will circle around it in a sense. But for example, one of the things that I noticed it, but I never pay attention to it, for example, was the middle of the eyebrows. If it goes with a scrumptious like this, it's very attentive, it's very analytical. If they are more relaxed, it's more it gives you very easily that what kind of human being is at that point, or what kind of emotional state.
And it's with those, that's actually more of an average, because they're also thinking about the average in that sense, and average is majority. Because of course there can be the individuals that have quote unquote poker face, I would say, that you never really know fully on their expression or what they feel at that moment, and they just be blank out, blank paper sheet.
So basically, for example, those are the things that I'm interested in, and when I play those, I don't see it as therapeutic, but I like to learn stuff. I believe that I am it. What's the right word? Eternal? No, eternal is not
which term you trying to?
That as long as I live, I will be a student.
Yeah, well,
a lifelong student. What's the word? What's the right word? There's
eternal student.
Not
eternal learner. Wait.
Something
along that line.
Something along that line.
That you never fully grow out of the phase of learning.
No,
because that's the thing, that you gotta be a person that wants to learn constantly. It doesn't matter how many degrees you get, how many lessons you go through. You always gotta be, especially as in our state, young individual. You have to be like a sponge. That's why kids have a really strong benefit over a grown adult, because we have kind of a fixated ideas of how words should go and how we should behave, and etc., etc. But kids are free, open spirits.
Yeah.
So they absorb everything. Yeah. And that's how actually grown-ups gotta be too as well.
Yeah.
But
and
eternal learner,
and because of that, when I listen to a podcast, and for someone who is expert at that field or experienced it, or some way, shape, or form are very knowledgeable about that certain particular field, it raises my eyebrows. Now, understand, I have experienced a lot with human interaction.
Oh.
And during those times, I have learned a very lucrative arsenal, I would say, where no matter what the situation is, you have been around me, no matter the situation is, I can somehow say or do something that will get out of that situation.
Hey, if anybody is gonna interrogate me or anything about this subject, I plead the fifth. I don't know what he talking about. I ain't trying to be put in any type of situation. I plead the fifth.
Do you know, interesting thing? We had, when I was studying in university, one lady put me on the spotlight.
Oh, threw you under the bus like that?
She was driving the bus.
Oh my jeez.
Basically, the situation was I was at the dinner table in Spain, 7 ladies, I by myself.
Oh, okay. Rizza, I see.
And she suggests a game that said that would you give from everybody your first impression?
Okay.
And she said, start with you.
Ooh, she trying to put you in the hot spot.
And I looked
You
at
said
her,
something wrong, that's it.
and I looked at her, I said, oh, that's how we're gonna play, let's do it. And I did, you know me.
First impressions?
I did the first impressions, how I looked at them. And I mixed them with a little bit of truth, but also of fun. No. For example, when I said to her, I was like, a very handy lady, she can do stuff on her own. She's very, what's the right word for a tough auntie? A tough auntie?
Tough auntie, you kind of like.
A tough auntie, but in her deepest, she is a nice, sweet human being. And she kind of melted to it.
Oh, she's just like, oh.
Like these kind of things I said for everybody. And when she said about my first impression, she said that this was the kind of guy who said things that everybody else was thinking. Mm-hmm. And that kind of guy that no matter what the situation, he can talk his way out of it.
So you yapping shit, bro. You yapping shit. That's what she said.
And I was not offended, but I'm looking at it like with this, I would say, with this appall of joy.
Oh, well, you shook that all.
I was joyed inside of me that she thought for the first time she met me that this is the guy, if we need to get out of the situation, open his mouth and we
let him speak. Let him speak.
And it has happened. It has happened a couple of times, and you know this. You have been in a situation.
I got chapping shit, man.
But
I chap shit, I end up in situations, man. What the hell? I don't even chap shit and I still end up in situations.
Yeah, well, you had to change the colors, my man.
Hey, last time it was because the chick magnet and what? You remember that time, bro? I didn't even do nothing and I still get issues. Hey, but it is what it is.
Do you want to tell the gay story?
Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no.
Okay.
Oh, hell no.
Okay.
I'm still traumatized about that. I need to recover. I need to get through the therapy and all that, bro. But man.
Okay, what was your therapy to get over it? Or are you still?
I'm still traumatized, man.
Okay.
Jeez.
What has worked for you?
Man, cold shower, sit under the shower, hold your legs a little, together. Think about your life. Think where it has gone wrong. What have you done right? And sometimes it doesn't even help. That's the worst part. But I'm telling y'all, man, from now on, if somebody tell you they don't swing that way, trust me, they'll swing that way. So don't push it, man. Don't push it. Hey.
That's rough.
And they wonder why people be like in Africa, where you get? Man, hey, this all jokes.
Who says I'm gay?
Shit, bro.
You are gay.
Hey, but from now on, I don't know if I'm gonna be nice to people no more, man. Somebody be pushing the button, I'll tell you I don't swing that way. Bro, we swinging, man. I gave that chance, man. I gave that positive chance, man. I was like, I don't swing that way, man. Motherfucker was still pushing. I like, bro, what? You gonna catch this hand soon enough.
That is the situation?
Yeah, that's the situation, man. Fuck that shit, man.
We don't need to talk about it if you don't like it? But the point was that he went something, it traumatized him.
No, man. Tell me, man.
Now, you're trying to get over it by therapy.
Exactly. I'm speaking about it. I've let out my thoughts.
How did you feel when he did it?
Woo! Bro, the anger. Well, not really anger, but come on, man.
Frustration?
Frustration, when you try to be respectful, peaceful, because you know when you play in the double-edged sword situation where, it's kind of, well, not double-edged sword, but, kind of like a lose-lose situation. That if you fuss about it, you're seen in a bad image. If you let it be, you're kind of putting yourself in a bad situation. So I was kind of in that crossfire, so I was like,
damn it.
yeah, man, But next time, I'm swinging. I'm swinging next time, man. Fuck that shit.
Do you swing that way? No.
I'm swinging, bro, man. Catch these hands next time.
However.
That was that. That was that.
However.
Hey, but you mentioned before about the listening, about hearing the therapy.
Yeah.
Hearing and listening.
Yeah,
therapy.
listening. I don't view it for myself as therapeutic, like I said. I like to learn, and for learning stuff, I like to learn and I like to then actually apply for what I learn.
Mm-hmm.
But then I know people that put the podcast, not even, like you said, not even like paying attention to it that very closely. But they listen to it because it gives them this sense of calmness or relief. Even though if the podcast is absolutely
garbage
when it comes to topics, when it comes to people who is talking in there, when it comes to setup, whatever the case may be, still they listen to it because it gives them this sense of camaraderie, like everything is okay when I listen to this. So yeah, it will be therapeutic for them, and it will be a great therapy actually, because you don't pay in a sense for that. You can put it on and then you can do other stuff. You can clean, you can cook, you can drive, you can walk, you can run, you can work out, you can do the other things as well while listening to that podcast.
Yes, sir.
So yeah, I believe, and I don't know if I know anyone who is like that, who listens to the podcast and then it's like therapeutic for them. But I can see that it is very possible.
Because actually, that's the funny thing. I've kind of like, at least from my personal experience, I've never taken, or at least I don't think I have ever taken podcast as a way of therapy. Because kind of similar to you, that I'll listen to the podcast to absorb the information that and possibly even challenge my view of certain things. So in that sense, I wouldn't take it as a therapeutic thing, but music, for example, that thing I could say that is more therapeutic to me. Because when you listen to certain jams and all that, it gets you in that state. You can use for example, when you're working out. Of course, nowadays I'm trying to calm down with the music listening, because you gotta put yourself in the environment of reality. But for example, when you go to gym, and you put headphones on and you listen to that specific type of music to get you in that mood, it creates that environment of, how would I say? It isolates your mind in its own realm, in a sense, and calms you down or pumps you up, whatever it needs to do. And that thing, I would say, is therapeutic, because I could like certain type of music. I could put headphone on, close my eyes, and that's it. I'm zen straight up. So yeah, listening can be therapeutic.
Yeah, sure.
And also, if we go back to the podcast version of thing, like you said earlier, it doesn't really need to be any productive podcast to be therapeutic. But for example, the voice of whoever is speaking is very calming.
Yeah.
Because that motherfucker could be speaking dumb shit. Your world is flatter than flat. Sky is black, whatever, etc., etc. But the voice is deep enough and calming that it just resonates. Because, hey, I don't know about you, but world works on vibration as well. Things vibrate, so that vibration gets you on zam. And
you know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying?
You know what I'm saying? You know who else vibrates?
I mean,
who said
some
that?
of them might know.
Who said that?
Hey, Mr. Seduction, shut up.
I'm not supposed to say anything. Look at this, Frank Sinatra.
Hey.
I've been a nice boy.
But actually, I wanted to ask on the therapy side. Could you, because when we speak about therapy, a lot of time we think about it as a individual thing. That you do your own, you speak with somebody.
I see where you're going.
You know what I'm saying. So, what about in this situation? Can you have a therapeutic moment with group, larger group, for example, like gathering, or event, or like, let's say, practice in a sense? Can you have that same type of therapy?
Actually, this is my belief.
Wrong belief right there.
Hold up now.
Wrong, man.
This is my belief about groups. For girls, it's not the same thing as for guys when it comes like when they are together. Guys, usually when they get together, they can talk about things that are very non-related. Ladies, I'm talking genuinely, 100% has nothing to do with anything about you. This is 100%. You can ask any guy. They can get together, spend days with one another, never mention once about sex, about women, about girls, about dating, about nothing. They can hang out days, they don't mention once.
And we be talking on the dumbest shit. I mean, funny thing is, when guys gather up, we start speaking about the weirdest shit.
Is water wet?
Some, man, dang, bro, don't even start with that shit. We really gonna have a long conversation. Element can have the same property that it gives off to other things. God damn. But no, overall, have you noticed two things? When guys gather up, it's either to talk gibberish, so just random things, random idea duels, or actually start making ideas of enhancing something, or building something, or creating something. So there's two things. Either we're talking childish shit, or we're talking something that builds up.
Yes,
That's the two things.
So, you asked me.
Can a group setting?
Group setting. I believe for guys, it is maybe the best therapy. For guys. Girls, the reason why I cannot say anything about girls is because first, when there is a group of girls, and I'm there, I don't get the real way of women talking because they are still knowing, in fact, that there is a man and a capable man with us. They can do whatever they want, but they still acknowledge the fact that I'm there. So that's why, for example, if there is a group gathering and there are just girls, I just go say hi to everybody and dip. I don't want to stay there and listen.
Peace.
I don't want to stay and listen. For example, if my mom, my auntie, my grandma, they get together somewhere, the best thing I can do is, hey, how you doing? Hey, how you doing?
Greet everybody, bounce.
Is everybody need anything? And then leave. Let the woman talk there too.
Let that chap that shit.
You get what I'm saying? It's rude, and I don't want any woman to come into the group of guys and then start to act like we're one of the guys. No, we're not. I will not say the same shit to you that I will say to you.
Oh, we know way too many of those. Never trust those motherfuckers.
Go, please. Hey, I'm talking about the guys who do that. They act like gays to go around ladies, and then all of a sudden he's not gay.
Pause, bro. Hold on, bro.
I hate that.
Shit. He went from therapy to backhand. What the heck?
That's the second best therapy.
Actually,
But
get you straight up.
why I'm saying is the best therapy is because guys, when they are around other guys, and especially if guys are from similar background, they have suffered or they have conquered something or they have done something very hard. They are good at being men. Now, if that kind of group gathers around, everybody, of course, that the boundaries will be tested, but everybody will try to not get on anyone's toes.
Yeah, step on anybody.
Because if they step, then they have to deal with consequences. And then if you're in front of the group, the pressure adds up. So it makes you forcibly be a good person. And I believe, and then if there is a problem and you explain that problem, the group of guys, usually there are two types of way the guys will handle this. The first one, which is not usual, not as usual as the second one, is that they actually say, okay, well, what you think about this? What you think about this? They actually start to, like you said, build the ideas, build the systems, the foundation for that solution.
Having that little constructive conversation.
Another way is to
Squabble up. Squabble up.
Is to roast the guy. Oh, you got heartbroken. Oh, what bad? What bad? Do you know what is?
Bitch hair, boy.
Do you know what still broke? Your money, huh? You get what I'm saying? Like, not only it adds to the insult, but then you get to have that. But it's never in a sense, like, it's usually not in a sense of I want to hurt you. You get what I'm saying?
Bro, I don't know why, but I went toxic on myself. But what's up? Well, the guys did when he fought your girl. Guess what's down? Your confidence.
You see what I'm saying?
Hey, you know, that's
this is
to toughen up the skin, you know.
Not only to toughen up the skin, but to realize that life is hard, life is difficult.
You gotta squabble with it and move on.
Yeah, you have to own that shit. And then if something happens, you deal with it and then you move on.
Oh shit.
So when you are with the group of guys, and I have seen this a lot, it will help guys to be a better person. Because I've seen it, for example, if a guy, you have seen this many times. Guy, the second he gets a girlfriend, see where I'm going with this. The second he gets a girlfriend, second he gets a girlfriend, he detached himself from that group of guys. Then time passes by, and then you see that guy somewhere with the girl, or worse, they break up, and that guy now doesn't have any friends around him, so he crawls back to the group. You can sense in him.
What the hell here with the fingers too? What?
Yeah,
what?
his edge as a man has lost it. He doesn't have testosterone in him anymore. Like, you ask yourself, what happened to you? Then the answer comes. The guy whom she was attracted at first is not the same guy as now.
It was the edge.
Yeah, you know, the manly man.
It was the itch,
The
though.
testosterone, the thing that gives a woman like, come here.
Exactly, my guys. That's why you never let your itch dull out. You always gotta keep it sharp.
A smart one, smartly a small one. You don't need always to have that.
Yeah, right.
Like, as a young guy, you have to have a lot of edge because, you know.
You have to hone it down a little bit.
But when you are older, and I'm speaking this from a standpoint like my father or somebody who is in that 40s, 50s, 60s, I've seen that the best guys, they had that small edge, but then it's more like silent.
It's not like overly expressed or overly visible in that sense. It's kind of like that small things that aura, exactly. I've noticed all the guys that have had it good, they aura form very hard.
Facts.
They aura form very hard. But you know, you always gotta have that little tiny edge on you. You can never let your sword dull out. Never. Just for your sake and everybody else's, you know. You gotta keep your game strong.
Yeah, unfortunately. But then it will dull out if you don't hang out with other guys.
True.
This is a fact, because if you guys don't understand this, why I'm saying it is because only metal can hone metal. Only metal can shape metal. What you will be better at if you're just hanging around with your lady is you will be better at listening to your lady. I'm not saying that's a bad thing. All I'm saying is if you do it for a long period of time and you listen to everything that your lady says, The problem comes that ladies usually don't say it in a way that they think about logically every step of the way.
Oh my days.
I'm not saying they cannot be logical. All I'm saying that sometimes the emotion gets better of them, and then all of a sudden, there's what they said and what they do is a two different thing. That's why guys, they lose their edge if they listen constantly to their girlfriend. Sometimes it's a good thing to hear them out and listen to them, but maybe they have a good idea. So I'm not saying that. I'm saying that if you constantly listen to it, you will be doomed. Unfortunately.
But actually, to that, you said like the setting where guys gather up together. That's like the best situation
For
for guys.
guys. Yeah.
And what kind of creates therapeutic like sensation out of it, or therapeutic like scenery out of it when guys gather up? Because you mentioned that there's usually two options that will happen if you are having a bad day.
Yeah.
Guys will start creating innovative things, logical things to do, how to move on from that.
Yeah.
Or the second up of squabbling out, grinding it out, the tough way of, tough love.
Yes,
tough
sir.
love, I would
That's
say. So how would you say to that, for example, to a female right now, that's therapeutic? Because to their view, that could sound very unhealthy in a sense.
Gotcha. Well, the first part was that, like I said, two ways, and this is the usual, like maybe 98% of the time, if guys gather around and they have this kind of one guy or two guys or five guys have a bad day or a bad situation, they gather around. Why 98% of the time these two things will happen? Usually is that tough love. They would throw jokes, they will make fun of it. They maybe have the even worse situation than you, but they will throw jokes at your situation.
Hey.
And then the second one is to actually have that, okay, what should we do? Yeah, maybe this, maybe that. Now, why I'm saying it is because guys, we don't get the same sense of relief or the same sense of, how could I say, zen? As females, if we just talked about our emotions. We don't get that same. For example, that's why many guys love to watch football or basketball or sports in a sense. They love to watch it. They wouldn't care about any shopping. Then other way around, women love to shop. But then to watch a football or basketball or any kind of sport, it's dull to them. It's the same kind of thing when it happens to the therapeutic guys. Because therapeutic, for example, for guys, the sense of gratitude or the sense of zen or the sense of wholeness comes from the fact that something has been solved, they have been achieved, they are competent, they are respected about it. These are the things that will give guys a sense of wholeness as a man. And why these two ways work so much, the first one is that if somebody has a tough situation and then five guys are rambling about it, the situation will be solved somehow. The best option is that the guys, somebody has already had that experience, so they know, hey, do this, do this, do that.
Do these!
And usually, I'm saying from my perspective, if we are hanging around with guys and I'm asking, I have this situation and there is one guy who has had the exact same situation, I will listen to him attentively. And then I will do the same thing that he did. He said to me. Why? Because I know for a fact that he's not trying to do me anything.
Do you dirty?
Do me dirty. And I know for a fact that he has
based on experience.
That same experience, that same exact situation. The other thing, the tough love kind of thing. Usually when you throw those jokes, the comedy in itself, the humor in itself, is that therapeutic, that you get to get out of that thing and bust the balls, that we say.
It kind of how would I say, dilutes the feeling of pain a little bit into something. I would say, it's kind of like the pain to the people who drink. I don't drink, but to people who drink, in a sense, the pain is vodka.
Yeah.
And the jokes are kind of like water. And when you pour the water into the vodka for some certain period of time, it kind of dilutes it a lot noticeably that it becomes softer drink in a sense.
And then as a guy, usually when situation is bad, usually the guys tend to, because ladies, I will say that ladies are very cold about this, but guys tend to think these things a lot more than you think. Guys actually ponder on these things so much, but then ladies are very, they don't really care about those things in the same way. And when, even if a guy opens about it, it's more for them that, yeah, but what about me? Usually goes like that. And don't get me wrong, it's a natural thing in my opinion, because usually a woman looks after her own benefit more than anything else.
Ooh, he's gonna start to beef later on. Ooh,
You say what you want, but
ooh, he go fight somebody. Huh?
usually a woman will look after their own benefit, not because she is like being a bad person, not at all, but more because if she is not looking for her own benefit, then the benefit of her offspring will not be better, the benefit of her family, her future will not be better. So therefore she will look after her own benefit, so therefore everybody else will be in a well-positioned place. However, the place where you give that tough love, also the guy who is getting that tough love will also understand that, look, these guys are making just jokes and fun about it. It's not maybe that bad.
Shit.
You get what I'm saying? That it gives that sense of relief that, well, she left me, but it could be worse. I'm just taking that as an example.
Worst thing she could say is no. Is that type of joke?
I know what's the worst. Yeah. Like,
give it a chance, my boy. Give it a chance.
you get what I'm saying? Like, let's say we have a group of guys, and then somebody says, "Well, she said me no." At least she didn't say, "Shut your mouth, bro." you see,
You know, making the bad experience or bad feeling into a joke that everybody can like. Okay, well, shit. Alright.
so it gives that sense of relief that I cannot see that ladies have that. This kind of thing. And it's okay. Ladies have another thing. What I've seen is that they blast the music of Mamma Mia and they talk with loud noise and they just get to ventilate everything out of it. So that's therapeutic for them. What I have seen. I have bad experiences.
That immediate, bro. I just got bad experience. Yeah, I mean, at least he's honest. You gotta give props to that.
At least he's honest. At least he can say, yeah.
Hey, remember the worst thing she can say is no. You get the at that point, bro. Jump off a bridge or something else, man. That's just bad.
Don't jump over the bridge.
What?
It's illegal.
What?
It's illegal, bro. Just find a black guy. He will. No. I will not go there.
Pause.
Pause.
Oh my days.
But my question actually goes back to you because
oh Jesus.
My question. It's not my question, but it's a question that you asked. What do you think about that group setting? Because individual is individual indeed, and everybody has differences. But when you are in these group settings, and I took it as like hanging out. But did you have anything else in mind?
Well, because it kind of like it goes along the same lines as you said of I would say, because I personally haven't been in that many group settings other than sports situation that I would say felt therapeutic in a sense. How would I say? Because I'm trying to figure out like, hold up. I would say like the group setting would be most suited in such situation where you have similar type of experiences and you're trying to like move on from that, and each individual can put their own experience and view into the subject. For example, let's say all of us have lost our parents, for example,
Yeah.
hypothetically,
Yeah.
lost our parents, and we get into gathering. And how can we move forward from this feeling of emptiness, and each one of us tell like, oh, I remember when I was a kid, and so on, so on, and each of us bring out those feelings and so on, and we all like cherish that. Okay, somebody else feels as I felt. That kind of gives you a sense of